How are you guys? I know you guys are starting to get a little sick and tired of this whole online alive. Trust me, we are too. So what we wanted to do for all that Tim's kind of been doing for us is we wanted to, as a group, go celebrate his birthday. That is tonight, June 7th, in case you're wondering what day it was, at 6:30. We're doing it for Tim. We're going to Snow Hut. Make sure you bring cash, bring cash, bring cash. They don't accept card. Come hang out and celebrate Tim's 35th birthday with us. Thanks, guys.
Hey guys, my name's Cheyenne.
No, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Nathan.
Today we're just gonna sit down and talk to you about what God taught us all over quarantine, and we really hope that you can gain something from this. So actually I'm gonna start with reading Psalm 23 because the Lord just taught me so much out of this psalm throughout the couple months that we are all separated in social distancing. Okay, so this is the ESV version, if any of y'all are wondering. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know about you guys, but at the beginning of quarantine especially, I could not stay out of the media. I was constantly reading articles, and everybody was posting, and I was
YouTube.
YouTube and Facebook.
The devil.
Yeah.
I was overwhelmed with the spirit of anxiousness and just fear. I didn't know what tomorrow was going to hold ever. And I was like reading the word, and because I was reading 1st and 2nd Corinthians too, but I just needed to find rest in God's word. And that's just not what I was doing. And when I read Psalm 23, like all that fear and anxiety was immediately taken away.
Mm-hmm.
And God just reminded me that no matter what's happening, he's still in control.
Yeah.
Like he's still in authority.
Definitely.
Nothing's a surprise to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like Romans 8:28, he works all things together for the good of those who love him.
Yeah.
So like this may have been a surprise to us. This may have been a change of plans to us.
Yeah. But
God, like he knows the end. And that's why like we should trust him. Because we don't even know what tomorrow is going to hold. We don't know what's going to happen after we're talking about all this stuff. But God, like, he knows every single day from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
And what I really found comfort in this psalm, it's like he makes me lie down in green pastures.
Mm-hmm.
Not like he wants you to, like he makes you. And something that really hit my heart at the beginning of quarantine was how fast-paced the world was going.
Yeah.
Like we were all like running from school to work to our jobs to football practice or softball practice, and like nobody was spending time with family. Nobody was really spending time with the Lord. Like it just, we live in such a consumer society that it's like, what can I do today? What can I mark off my to-do list? And like Psalm 23, like he's gonna make you lie down. Like he's gonna lead you to still waters. He like rest is so important to us. And when we're not making time for him, he's gonna make time for himself.
Yeah.
And like that's really what the Lord was teaching me over quarantine.
That's awesome.
And like too, from reading 1st and 2nd Corinthians, so many times Paul's plans are completely thrown outside, like to the side.
Yeah.
But it still works together for the good, and like so many things happen that wouldn't have happened if Paul's plans would have stayed on track.
Yeah. Definitely.
Wow.
Like
Definitely.
this summer would have looked completely different for me if COVID didn't happen. If COVID didn't happen, I wouldn't be sitting here with you guys. Like I was supposed to be a huge staffer.
That's true.
Yeah,
you told me
that's
about
true.
that.
Yeah, so I would have been in Philadelphia all summer.
Wow.
But like thankfully the Lord is sovereign, and I'm so grateful for this summer and getting to know you all and just seeing what God's gonna do this summer.
Yeah.
So just like trusting in his authority, trusting in his protection, his plans for us.
Definitely. That's super cool.
I love that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
What you got, Sarah?
Yeah,
Well,
hit us with it, sister.
I'm gonna actually start off with a verse that's just generally helpful with, especially with like what's going on. 2 Timothy 1:7. For For God gave us the Spirit, not of fear, but of power and love and of self-control. And I think that's so important to remember these days is God did not give us a spirit of fear, like of power and of love, and like especially the love as like right now with everything going on, it's just so important to love each other as God loved us. And so it's very important to just not have a spirit of fear and have a spirit of like power and a love and a sound mind. But also one of the verses that I really clung to this quarantine time is John 13:7. Jesus answered him, "What I am doing you do not understand now, but afterwards you will understand." And that's just, I guess my main verse of this is we have no idea what's happening. We don't know like what's gonna happen or what's going on, but God's saying like you don't understand, but I understand. Like
Exactly.
I already know what's gonna happen. I know what's happening here. I know what's happening in your life. And sometimes like I know a few times like I've been like, oh God, like you don't understand. Like you never had this in your life. Like you don't understand what's going on here. But then I'd have to like take a step back and be like, wait, like I don't understand what's going on now, but afterwards I will. And like he's like, no, like I do understand, like I'm the one that made this, I'm the one that saw this, I'm the one that went through this with you, like I understand what's happening. And he's saying like even though like all of your plans, like maybe you had a birthday party or you're graduating or stuff like that, like graduating has been a huge thing since like Nathan and I both graduated. Did you graduate? I don't think so.
No.
Never
No,
mind. Okay.
no.
Okay.
She in college.
Yeah.
She's already
He's
up.
young.
She's already up
No,
there. But but like I know graduation was like a pretty big thing.
Oh yeah.
And like a lot of kids didn't get to do it. And
Or got like a toned down version of it, like a drive-through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we got but like God is still being like, I understood that. Like I understood that you want to like have your graduation. I understand that that's a huge thing to you. But like something my mom said was like, whatever God's doing right now, it's so much bigger than a graduation. It's so much bigger than a birthday party. It's bigger than we can like imagine happening.
I know, like for me personally, sorry.
No, you're good.
It's just crazy some of the things I've went through in life.
Mhm.
Like obviously right there in the moment, it's hurtful.
Mhm.
It's I feel like I have no say in anything that's happening. I sometimes feel selfish because I'm like, God, why are you doing this? Like what did I do to deserve this?
Yeah.
But like if you think about it long term, our life is a vapor.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
and I'd much rather be like in heaven with God, obviously, but like also he knows every single day of our lives before we're even on this earth.
Yeah.
Wow.
And looking back at things that have happened in my life, I'm so thankful that they happened because now I know things that I wouldn't have if I didn't go through them.
Exactly.
And that's kind of what I feel like right now is happening because we are in such a transitional season that's preparing us for greater transitional
You got this,
How many
you got
times
this.
can you say it before you can't say it anymore?
Yeah, definitely. And also, like, my favorite verse is Hebrews 11:1. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for and the conviction of things not seen.
Yeah.
And that's also, like, a very powerful verse because we cannot see what's happening. We cannot see what's going to happen. And even just outside of quarantine and COVID and all of that, just in general life, we can't see, like, we don't know if we're going to go to school tomorrow and it'll be a good day, a bad day, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I know that verse has stuck with me. I've had this thing with faith, like, a lot in my past. It's just been a huge thing for me. And I think it's very, very important to keep your faith through all of this. It's kind of like a test of faith is how I see it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's
really good.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Wow.
What about you,
Nathan,
Nathan?
hit
What
us
you
with-
got?
Hit us
Man.
with what the Lord was teaching you.
That was
Hit
so
us with
good. Oh, gotta
Gospel
follow that
teaching
up.
here.
Yeah, so also a psalm, but Psalm
Psalm is
33.
great, y'all.
Yeah, Psalm 33. There's this thing that God's been teaching me that has been so helpful and so relevant and so convicting and encouraging. But it's that a big vision of God, like an accurate picture of who God is, which is he's big and powerful and sovereign and king, leads to me putting my hope and my trust in him, which leads to gladness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the converse of that, a small picture of God leads me to not putting my trust and my hope in him,
Yeah.
which leads to disappointment
That's so
ultimately.
good, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so true.
So Psalm 33, also ESV, starting in verse 6. ESV rules, by the way.
Obvious.
Yeah.
Just
Oh
saying.
yes.
Which
I have ESV.
By the word of the Lord, the heavens were made. So this first part is the big picture of God. By the word of the Lord, the heavens were made, and by the breath of his mouth, all their host. He gathers the waters of the sea as a heap. He puts the deeps in storehouses. Let all the earth fear the Lord. Let all the inhabitants of the world stand in awe of him. For he spoke, and it came to be. He commanded, and it stood firm. And then I'm going to skip down to verse 13. The Lord looks down from heaven. He sees all the children of man.
Yeah.
From where he sits enthroned, he looks out. He who fashions the hearts of them all and observes all their deeds. The king is not saved by his great army. So in verse 15, that was the end of we get a big picture of God, and now it's transitioning to where we're putting our hope in verse 16. The king is not saved by his great army. A warrior is not delivered by his great strength. The war horse is a false hope. There's that word, hope, for salvation. And by its great might, it cannot rescue. So what the psalmist is doing, he's pointing our attention to the most powerful thing on earth, like a great army, right? At the time would have been probably the most powerful thing that you could think about.
Sure, yeah.
Maybe today, I don't know what you could think about,
The military.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the U.S. military.
the
Army.
government.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. So
Yikers.
the psalmist is calling us to not put our hope in these things that seem so great and powerful, whether it's the government or maybe our own strength.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or money or our
Yeah.
jobs, and that's me specifically. I was at a point where my other job was kind of endangered. I thought I was going to lose it, and I just felt a ton of anxiety about it.
Yeah.
And through this psalm, God just revealed to me, Nathan, you're putting your hope in that job. You're not putting your hope in me.
That's good.
And through the psalm, he gave me this bigger picture of who he is, sovereign Lord of the universe, who breathed out stars.
Yeah.
And he's my father.
Yeah.
And I can trust him and
Yeah.
put my hope in him. And anything else I put my hope in is gonna ultimately fail me. But God won't. And then I love this. I just gotta say this in verse 20. It says, "Our soul waits for the Lord. He is our help and our shield. For our heart is glad in him because we trust in his holy name." So that hoping and that trusting in him leads to gladness.
Yeah, definitely.
And putting my hope in my job, it just led to anxiety and fear and disappointment because it felt, thankfully I was able to keep my job, which I'm super thankful for, but God just showed me, it's man, I gotta keep my hope and my trust in God, because that leads to such freedom and gladness.
Yeah.
So.
And also just kind of with when I was thinking of this when he read his verse and then you were talking about God breathing out stars, it's we paint our lives, we try to paint our lives, we paint with paintbrushes, but God paints with a billion trillion galaxies.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing to think about.
Yeah.
And that's what I have to add to that.
I was thinking when you were talking and just throughout our conversation, I'm just reminded of the verse that's he cares, he dresses the flowers of the field and cares for the birds of the sky.
It's in Matthew, yeah.
Yeah, it is in Matthew.
Yeah.
I just wasn't sure
Yeah.
exactly where.
Yeah, no,
I
I know what you're talking about.
I was thinking that too, but I couldn't remember the reference.
But we are his children,
Mm-hmm.
and so just I know we're all still in our 20s, we don't have kids obviously, but I have younger siblings, and if something were to happen,
Same.
I would
Same.
guard my younger siblings with my life.
Definitely.
If I were a parent, even more so, that's my child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just thinking about our God who paints lives with billions of galaxies, and our God who is the mighty warrior, the sovereign Lord, all powerful, almighty. How much more is he protecting us and
If he
caring for
protects
us?
the flowers and the grass and stuff.
Yeah, if he's worried about them pretty daffodils out in the grass, or the red birds in the sky.
Yeah.
like through this time, again, like nothing was a surprise, and
Yeah,
we were in his
definitely.
hands. Because with you, Nathan, like I know so many more people like felt like that same anxiety about work. Like if
Yeah.
a same thing, like if you were a parent trying to feed your kid,
Yeah.
or like if
Yeah.
you're a senior saving up for college, because like
Right.
once you're in college, having a job is a lot harder than in high school.
Yeah.
And I got hired at a job, and then COVID happened, and I had like it was a restaurant, so I didn't even get to start working.
Mhm.
But again, like what you said, putting our trust in earthly things is just gonna lead to sadness, because
Yeah.
we're gonna be disappointed.
Definitely.
It just leads to disappointment. Like in 17, the war horse is like a false hope for salvation.
Yeah.
Like it
Mhm.
cannot rescue.
Yeah.
Like it just can't.
And like lastly ringing out, like, because I think this like ties everything we're like saying together, is at the beginning, the very, very beginning, I was like setting up my little desk area to do all my schoolwork, and the Lord just kept saying to me, like, He will not forsake me,
Mhm.
because we are His chosen people, like we are His royal priesthood, and like He
Wow.
will not forsake us.
Yeah.
And
Hebrews.
Yeah.
yeah.
Hebrews.
Yeah.
we will not be forsaken by Him.
It's like in Romans, like he
It's everywhere.
yeah, exactly. But like
because it's
everywhere.
so true.
Yeah, he's like, if you put your trust in me, if you're like a believer, like everything that's happening right now is all working together for God's good.
Exactly.
Everything that's happening, like in your personal life, in COVID, and like with the police forces, in Minneapolis and stuff, like everything that is happening, even though it's like really tragic, everything that's happening is working together for God's good, and it's gonna be good in the end.
Yeah.
So.
Do you guys have anything else to say before we wrap it up?
That's it. Put your hope in God.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, we're so glad that we got to talk to you today. We really hope that this word just had some encouragement, some light, definitely some truth
Yeah.
in
Definitely.
it. We are so excited to get to see all of you this summer and just pour into you as much as we can. We hope you have a great day.